Happy Friday. Hope everyone had a wonderful week. I felt really compelled to come on here and talk about the mind and basically a subject that kind of encompasses everything that I do with clients, which is basically how the mind works and how to be able to change it to change our behavior. So, something to note before I get into this is that our mind thinks in pictures. So, when I say to you, like golf ball, you literally see a golf ball in your mind. Or if I say um, the Eiffel Tower, you visualize the Eiffel Tower. So, but when I say the mind, we typically think of the brain, and that is not necessarily correct. The mind is much more expansive than that. The mind lives in every cell of our body. So, this figure actually brings order to our mind and it brings an image to our mind so that we can help change it. Because when we have a picture of something, it just is a lot easier to change than when we have just kind of like an abstract view. And that's why therapy is sometimes not that productive. You can be in therapy for a really long time. And of course, I mean, I'm a big fan of therapy. My brother is actually a psychologist. Um, but sometimes you don't see immediate results from that. And it's because you don't have like a tangible picture or thing that you're working for. So this is something called the stick figure, and I know it seems really simplistic and probably kind of funny, but let me just explain to you what it is. So this is your whole head, let's say, and it's split into two parts: your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, and then you have your body. And as you can see, the subconscious mind is connected to the body. So our subconscious mind is controlling our body and controlling all of our behaviors and our actions. Okay. And so we can consciously say, like, oh, yes, I want to lose weight. But if we're not programmed to lose weight, then our body is not going to do what we want it to do. Yes, we could try to use willpower and strength to change that, but it usually is short lived when we're changing behavior only because those programs are locked into our subconscious mind, right? We have these things called paradigms, which are a multitude of habits, and they're stored in our subconscious mind, and they're controlling 95% of our behavior. So, if I always just use the example of like wanting to lose weight because it's an easy example to like wrap our head around. If you are programmed to, like, if you say I have a sweet tooth, you're basically like programmed probably to eat sugar, maybe to even use sugar as like a cover up to like emotions. Or maybe it's drinking, that you use drinking to like cover up emotions and make you feel a certain way. That is all programmed in your mind. Okay. And so when you go to try to change it, it becomes very, very difficult to override that program, right? You're not going to do that until you actually change the program in your subconscious mind. So, whatever habit it is that you're looking to adopt, you actually have to first program that into your subconscious mind. And this works for everything. Okay. It works for, yes, our health and our well being, but then it also works for, like, if you have a habit of maybe overworking, right, and working too hard, you have a program in there that's telling you to do that. Okay. Or even our income is actually based off of the programs that we have in our subconscious mind. The amount of income that we're earning is tied to the programs that we believe about money and our worth in our minds. And so working harder and trying more a lot of times doesn't work because you're not changing that program. So I can't stress this enough that it's really difficult to change on behavior alone. You have to change those programs in your subconscious mind because that is where all of your behavior is coming from. And then that's what your results are coming from, right? Because you're taking action and from those programs and you're getting that result, that reaction back to you. So in order to figure out like what programs like you do want in your mind, you got to think about what result that you want to see on the outside and kind of reverse engineer that to see, okay, what do I need to believe? What do I need to imprint into my subconscious mind in order to achieve that? Now, you're probably thinking, well, how do I change my subconscious mind, right? Because if it's subconscious, we're not aware of it. So it's not so much about like figuring out what's in our subconscious mind, although there are ways to do that. It's really just, again, about installing the new program. And there's really only two ways to change your subconscious mind. First is through an emotional impact. And that's like, boom, something happens and it changes your perception immediately. And it's usually negative. So it could be something like, a divorce or a disease diagnosis or a just like a tragic event like 9/11. That would be a good example of an emotional impact, and it just changes your perspective in an instant. Now, we typically don't want to wait for those things to happen, right? Because that's really when like life is kind of like smacking us in the face, telling us that we need to change. So we can either change in that pain and suffering, or we could change before and get the results that we want. So the other way is through spaced repetition of an emotionalized idea. Okay. So it's about repetition over and over and over again, and then getting emotionally involved with it because emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. It's the feeling center of our mind. And so, again, we can consciously think things. So, if you consciously think, like, oh, I want to, earn $1 million this year and I want to lose 20 pounds this year. Yes, you can consciously think those things. Great. But it's not getting into your subconscious mind until you get involved in that feeling. And there are specific ways to do that. And it is a whole process. And it's something that you really have to stick with for a little while. And this is what I work with my clients on during my 6-month mastermind. So, I mean, you really only can work on like one or two things at a time. And so I've been able to change so many, not so many, but I've probably changed about 5 or 6 habits at this point, right? In the 2 years that I've been doing this, as I slowly just change one or two habits at a time over and over again. And there's always more to do. But once you learn how to do it, it becomes a lot easier and you see the results of it. And it's really rewarding because it then, starts to happen quicker. So I'm just going to show the stick figure one more time. So just keep this in mind. Again, the mind thinks in pictures. And so keep that in mind, right? Look at yourself as like your mind is in two parts, conscious mind, subconscious mind, connected to your body. And your subconscious mind is controlling all of your behavior. So if you're interested in learning more about this or just want to talk further about it, I would be happy to discuss it with you. Just send me a message and I will be here. Everyone have a lovely weekend.